So I think you've all been notified. And so, welcome to Top Tip Tuesday. And this evening, we are going to discuss why we don't correct our children when they get something wrong. And by something wrong, I mean they put their shoes on the opposite feet, or they put their t-shirt on back to front, or inside out. Or when they're a bit older and they're starting to read and write and master their numbers, it's very common for children to write their numbers and their letters back to front, or even upside down, or even a combination of both. So to give an example of Olivia, she is 5 and 4 months, and she writes a few of her numbers upside down. So the 5 she'll write upside down, the 3 she'll write back to front, and there's another one which I can't remember. Oh yeah, and 6 and 9 she gets confused with. And this is all completely normal, and I don't correct her, and I don't correct them when their t-shirts are on back to front, or they make any type of mistake like that. And what I'd love to tell you this evening is why we do that, why we have to, as I said to a very dear friend, sit on our hands and just zip it, and we don't correct them. What we're going to do is we will run through why we don't correct them, the reasons for that, and we're going to talk through what you can say. Someone else has just joined. Hello, good evening. So we're going to run through why we don't correct them. We're going to run through what we say instead of, or what we do instead of correcting them. So let's dive right in. As you may have seen on Sunday, I posted a really cute picture of Harry doing some pruning in the garden, and he had his t-shirt on back to front, and taking that photo, I was taking a photo just to send to his grandparents actually, of him in the garden, because both sets of his grandparents are really keen gardeners and they love to see the children gardening. And I thought, wow, what a great post, because I just love it when they put their clothes on back to front and they put their shoes on the different feet. It's just so gorgeous, and it's such a gorgeous thing that they only do in early childhood, and they only really do so they start getting the hang of shoes and clothes somewhere between 2 and 3.5, 4. And so it's only this period in time, this really short period in time of 2 years, or even less actually, because it's really when they're doing it independently, maybe only 1 year, where they're doing this, and it's just so gorgeous. And it doesn't happen again, because once they realise the right way to do it, and someone may point out how they should do it. And as they get older, then obviously with teasing and what have you, and older children, then they definitely don't want to have your shoes on the wrong foot, because they're going to be teased and made fun of by their friends. So it's such an innocence, and it's such a really beautiful time of discovery for them. It's really you just really see how much they're developing, because they've actually done it for themselves. And that's the whole point. Now, that's my first point, is that when the child, so some around about, I guess, 2.5, they can manage to do their t-shirt, perhaps not every time, sometimes they may get stuck. Hello, someone else has just joined. So around 2.5, they may start to be able to do their t-shirt, for example, and then it will take them a long time, as you'll see, and they'll pull the bit down at the front and then put down at the back, and it's going up and down, not really getting very fast. You might need to give them a little bit of help, and then you can help them put one hand through one sleeve and the other, and then they get to a stage where you're doing less and less and they're doing more and more, and then one day they will race in and they will have done it for themselves. And you will either want to celebrate and go over the top and praise them, or there'll be something not quite right because it'll be on back to front or something, and your instinct will be to say, oh, it's your t-shirts are on the wrong way, or your shoes are on the wrong feet, And when we say that, we've kind of missed the whole point. The whole point is that they're process. And what we can remember that's really important is that young children are process driven. They are not outcome driven in the way that we are as adults. This is because of the way that their brain works. And for them, they need to repeat and they need to practice, and they take their time doing things because they want to, because they are mastering skills. They're not trying to rush through and get dressed as quickly as possible as we are. They are fully engaged in that process. They're not thinking about something else. They can't think about anything else at that time because their brains don't work in that way. So when we are able to see their process rather than the outcome, that's when we can really, really appreciate what they've done and how far they've come and what they're actually achieving in this time. And what we can do in that moment, actually, when they come in and we really want to say something to correct them or to point out that they've done something wrong, what they'll do when they first do it for the first time is they'll run in and they'll say, I did it by myself, or me did it by myself, or me got dressed, or I got dressed, which is just so cute in itself, isn't it? And we can resist the urge to say anything other than just mirror back what they've said. So you say, yes, you got dressed by yourself, or you put your t-shirt on by yourself. Just mirror what they've said to you, obviously with a big smile. And if they want to come to you to affection, then that's great and what have you. It's just allowing their moment. We don't need to impose our praise or our opinion of how they've done it on them. We can just bask in how. Do you know what's happened that's really scary? Is the glass plate that tea lights are on has just cracked. 2 seconds. I'm going to have to blow all the candles out because now the candles are on the table. Well, sorry about that. So yes, we're just celebrating their process. That's all we're doing, and we're being there for them. My house isn't going to burn down. It's okay. It's just the whole plate just exploded into 4 or 5 pieces. It's really bizarre, but it's fine. Nothing's going to happen. So let's just enjoy their process. When they come in, just be with them and see the joy in their face and bask in that joy that they have. Now I'm going to delve a little bit deeper into why we may want to correct, and this can come just really from a place of misunderstanding. This isn't about berating ourselves or berating each other for what we may or may have done. It's probably learned behaviour, and so we have experienced when we were little that our caregivers would have instantly corrected if we'd done something wrong. And this just comes from a misunderstanding, and that misunderstanding is one, as I first mentioned, that young children go through a process, are process driven, not outcome driven. The second thing is that and perhaps this is something that was more common in previous generations, but you still see a little today, is that there's this sort of belief that because we are the adults, and perhaps this is an unconscious belief, that if we don't tell our children when they've done something wrong, then they're always going to get it wrong. Do you see what I mean? It's almost like we haven't allowed ourselves before to trust our children's path and their unique trajectory for their life. And so there's that misunderstanding as well. And also there's a misunderstanding about that a child's process is trial and error. In Montessori, we call it a control of error, so that all the Montessori equipment is designed in such a way that the child won't be able to complete it unless they do it correctly, so that the educator, the guide, doesn't have to correct them. They see for themselves whether it's been done correctly or not. And so again, they get that intrinsic sense that they're achieving something for themselves because they can complete it themselves. So this is all part of this. It's a trial and error with children, and with things like shoes being on the wrong feet. on the, sorry, not the wrong feet, the opposite feet, with shoes being on the opposite feet. When they're 2, they might not feel it. They obviously can't tell visually yet that each shoe may be a different shape, curved on the outside, as it were, and straight on the inside of the foot. They might not be able to tell from visually looking at them, and they may not be able to tell by putting their feet in either. Obviously, for an adult, it's really obvious, but our children it might not be obvious to them. It's not at all obvious when they're little, and so that's a really important learning process as well. That they're getting a sensory impression from their foot and the feeling of the foot in their shoe, and they will just realize that it doesn't feel right. And if we can hold off until that point, until that moment happens and they discover it for themselves, they may even say, this doesn't feel comfortable, it's not right, I don't like it, or what have you. And then you can suggest, guided by them, you can suggest to try it on the other foot and see if that feels any different for them. But again, it takes trust, and with a t-shirt with a pattern on the back on back to front, what I like to do with, Olivia's beyond that stage now, but Harry, once he's got himself dressed, and whether I've helped him or not, he'll come in and he'll say, and he's like, oh, I pattern on the back, because sometimes he'll pick up and he'll want it and he can't understand why he's put it on, but he can't see the pattern. So I'll suggest to him, let's go to the mirror and we can see if we can work out what's not right. So he'll look in the mirror and he'll see that the logo or the pattern, whatever, isn't on the front. So he'll say, it must be round the back. So he'll say, I'll start again, and then he'll ask me to help him to turn it round. But again, he's discovering that for himself. I haven't told him it's wrong. If he wants the pattern on the back, cool, that's fine, that's his thing, isn't it? But if he wants it on the front and wants my support to change it because he can't manage that himself, then that's fine as well. So it's really giving them that gift of discovery, and then offering that little bit of guidance that they might need. So those are the misunderstandings that we have, that we can have as caregivers, that we need to correct these things because they won't right themselves otherwise, and that simply isn't the case. Before we go on to the next section, I wonder if anyone has any questions that they would like to ask, and do actually just jump in with questions all the way through. Even if I lose my flow, I'll find it again. So don't worry. Just jump in with questions if you'd like to, and I'll have a little sip of lemon. So moving on to section 2. What I wanted to say is, and this is going a little bit deeper into parenting and seeing where we've come from in our parenting, and I guess where we're heading in our parenting as well. And what I mean by that is that we all come to parenting without a blank canvas. I've just had a question that's come up. There is 2 questions here. Okay. The first one is, how do we get other friends and family members to adopt the same, not correcting the child? Oh, this is tricky, isn't it? Isn't this a delicious one with other friends and family members? I think our children are really, really astute and are really, really wise and are very, very insightful. And on one hand, we can ask friends or family members to adopt the same approach as us, and on the other hand, at a point we can feel comfortable to let that go and trust that what we're doing is enough, and our message that we're sending to them about when they get dressed, they change quite a lot, so maybe they're getting dressed 3-4 times a day, and trusting that because we're not correcting them those 3-4 times a day, that other family members or friends, when they see them, if it's perhaps once a week, it's not going to have as much an impact as you doing it every single day, several times a day. We can definitely explain in a very, very simple way a very off-the-cuff remark of saying, oh, you did it by yourself, when your child comes in with his shoes on, his t-shirt on, and the other person would jump in with, oh, your t-shirt's on back to front, or what have you, and you can just say a very quick, well, he'll get the hang of it in his own time. We don't correct him, and just try and make it as light as possible without getting into a debate. I know that's easier said than done, but going back to my previous point, it's really, really trusting that what we are doing is enough, and knowing that what we're saying on a consistent basis, day in, day out, is really what makes the imprint on them, what makes the imprint in their heart and their soul, and what really, really makes the difference. So I hope that answers your question. And the second question was, when your child knows how to put his shoes on but wants you to do it, and same for clothes, should we insist that they do it themselves? Okay, this is an interesting one, because this is just about them wanting you to help them, and that is just my belief that is just basically asking for extra attention. It's just asking for that attention in that way, and instead of it manifesting by, I don't know, disruptive behavior or being clingy or something, it's just asking for that extra TLC, as it were. And I think that's absolutely fine. And I would also say that I think it's a stage. I've experienced that with both of my children for just like a month or two, where and Olivia quite recently, I mean, this was at the end of last year, so she was 4.5, almost 5, and I think it's absolutely fine. The way you can support them through that is that so they say they don't want to get dressed, so you can kind of reach a compromise. So if you're in the sitting room, they're in the bedroom, you can say, okay, you go and choose what you'd like, and then I'll come and help you. Bring them to me, and I'll help you. And then you can, I don't know, do something silly like take their t-shirt and try and put it on your head, or look at the arm and say, oh look, this is the hole for your head, isn't it? Let's see if we can get this over your head. And they're 2, 3, 4, 5 years old. They're super, super playful. They are going to either laugh, and then the ice is broken, and then you can just play your way through getting dressed. Still, we're trying to give them as little as support as you can. Or by breaking the ice and making them laugh, they're going to go, oh, Mama, you're so silly, and do it themselves. Do you see what I mean? So it's not something that we need to insist on or become a power struggle about, not at all. It's really just supporting them through that stage. It's obviously a need that they have at the moment, and that's okay. We help them as little as we possibly need in order for them to achieve the getting dressed or putting their shoes on or what have you. With shoes, what I used to do with Harry is I'd say, okay, let's see, where is the bit for the toes, and I'd open, they both still have these soft leather shoes. I'd open the shoe a bit and then look in and go, now where are those toes going to go? And again, it's just being really, really light and playful about it, and sort of just helping him slide his toes in, and then saying, well, it doesn't fit around the back, does it? And what should we do here? And I show him how to put his thumb in again and pull the elastic. So it's just being really, 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 really gentle and fun and playful, and engaging them in that process, so they have the attention that they want. You're just showing them again how to do it, and it just doesn't need to become a battle of wills, basically. So I hope that answers both of your questions. Please go ahead with any more if you'd like some answered. So the second part of what I wanted to talk about regarding correcting our children is, as I started on, we've all come from parenting from this place of learning from our caregivers how to parent, and whether we're trying to consciously step away from what our parents and caregivers did, or we're trying to do the same, we come with baggage to every situation, not just parenting, to every situation in life. We come with baggage, and one of the things that's really humbling about parenting is seeing what that baggage is, because it just shines a light on where our healing needs to come. It's like holding up a mirror, like caring for your child, particularly your toddler when they're freaking out, particularly your 4-year-old when she's being rude to you, your 5-year-old when she's swearing at you, your 6-year-old when they're hitting you, whatever it is. It's just a mirror to how we are feeling and our energy and how we're making them feel in that moment. So it sounds far-fetched, but if we can really take a step back and think, okay, if we don't correct our child, then we're not imposing our ego on them. Then we're not telling them this is right and this is wrong. We're not saying you've got to do things my way, or you're doing them wrong. If we're able to really step back and allow them to have their own experience in these type of situations, that's really when we are kind of letting go of our ego and just letting them unfold as they should. And that's something I'm really, really passionate about, and I'm trying to do with my children, and failing a lot of the time as well, is just allowing their experience to unfold as it should, and trying to keep my ego out of it and how I think they should be behaving, or what they should be saying, or what they shouldn't be saying. Just trying to keep that locked away. You know, as I said to my dear friend, sit on your hands and zip it. And I think there's a lot of that we need to do in parenting, and delving into that side of parenting and what we need to heal in order to bring out the best in ourselves and be the best version of ourselves for our children. That's something that's really worth delving into, actually, our own ego, how much we project our expectations onto our children, whether it be in their behavior, where it be some fanciful idea of what they're going to be when they grow up, and they're going to be a humanitarian and a philanthropist and all of this stuff, which may or not be the case, but we can just start really, really simply when they're little, by just allowing them to have the simplest experience of getting dressed for themselves, and whatever the outcome is, just be there to celebrate them in their way, rather than making it about correcting them or making a great big fanfare about praising them, both of which are actually about us and not about the child. What we always want to do is direct this back onto the child, no matter how we're feeling, is just thinking, okay, how can we support right now? What's the most useful thing I can do now? And often the most useful thing we can do is just sit and wow them with our presence. You know, just be there, present with them, and smile at them, or if they come for affection, obviously be affectionate with them, and just be with them rather than complicating our lives and theirs with anything else. So I hope that's given you a bit of an insight into why we don't correct our children. And if there's any more questions, then please send them through now. But also I wanted to say that it's really, and it's gone out of my head now. It's completely gone. Yes, and I don't think I've said this. Everything will right itself, whether it is putting their shoes on the correct feet, or whether it's putting their t-shirt around the right way, or it's their numbers or their letters the right way, and not back to front. These things right themselves. They do. They really do just correct themselves, because one day they'll notice, they'll write a 5 upside down or back to front, and we're like, oh, suddenly one day they'll realise that it doesn't look like the one on the page, or it doesn't look like the one on the sandpaper letter, it doesn't look like the one that they've seen before, and they just do it themselves. You know, it's not something that we need to worry about or stress about. It would be much later if you have, I don't know, an 8-year-old who couldn't identify any of the numbers or the letters around the right way. Then that might be something to look into. But this is much, much older, and it would need to be like a widespread problem, and there would probably be other indicators in that as well. So in terms of early childhood, until the age of 6, 7, this is not anything that we need to worry about, other than just allowing them to learn at their own pace, let them learn through trial and error, being an enthusiastic observer, a silent cheerleader, if you like, to all of everything that they do and everything that they overcome and everything that they achieve. But we don't need to correct. Are there any more questions before I sign off? I know someone's just joined. Hello. Oh, it's Safa. Hi, Safa. Let me just see in my notes, is there anything? Oh, there's another really lovely thing you can do actually. At bedtime, if you wanted to acknowledge that they are now getting dressed for themselves, or now writing everything, doing lots and lots of writing, whether or not it's back to front. What you can do at bedtime, when you talk to them after the lights have gone out and you're just sitting and lying and chatting to them, and perhaps talking through the story of your day, which is what we do with Olivia and Harry, you could actually mention that, oh, you're getting dressed by yourself now, aren't you? Or I've noticed you're putting your shoes on by yourself now, and it seems like you're really enjoying that, or something like that. Or you're doing so much writing, you spent all afternoon writing those letters and numbers. And just say that, so you're acknowledging that you've seen their effort, but you're not praising them. You don't need to praise them, you're just acknowledging that. And then if they want to add something or say something, then you can just leave a gap and they're going to respond to you. But obviously before they're going to sleep, you've put something in their brain. You've put a little seed in their brain that they are achieving something for themselves of their own volition and by their own merit. And that's really, really powerful to do just before sleep. And I'm sure lots of you know about the power of meditation and doing things like affirmations before you go to sleep and when you first wake up, because the brain is in a meditative state, and the brain waves are in theta, which is a lower brain wave, so that the brain absorbs unconsciously. So being able to affirm them and acknowledge them and validate them just before they go to sleep is really, really valuable. So that's the other thing that you can do if you wanted to acknowledge the effort that they're making with their writing or getting dressed or whatever it might be. And that actually can be really valuable to do if one of your children you can see they're really struggling with something, but they're persevering. You can then mention it later in the day or at bedtime or what have you. Say, I can see you're really working hard on that, or what have you, and leave it at that, just so that they have that acknowledgement for them, that will actually hold with them in their hearts. So I hope you've enjoyed today's session. Let's look at the time. Look, 35 minutes. Again, I do waffle for too long, don't I? But I hope it's been really valuable to you. If you're not doing so already, I'd love you to follow me. And if you have any other questions, then you can just send me a message afterwards. This will be on my story for the next 24 hours, so do share with friends and anyone who you think needs to hear this. And I will be back this weekend on Friday evening for another Instagram Live, and I'm going to talk about sibling dynamics and sibling relationships, which is so fascinating at the moment because of the lockdown. And with Olivia and Harry, I have seen some really fascinating play and really fascinating role play between them, and seeing that develop within the past how many weeks is it? 6 weeks. And I'd love to share all of that with you, and I'd really love to hear your experiences of your sibling relationships and interactions. Thank you for the hearts, whoever just sent the hearts, and send me a message. Thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again on Friday evening. Bye bye.